Good day and welcome to AGK's Vinyl Life. I'm your host, Anthony K. And today's Monday, June 8th, 2020. And on this week's episode, I'm going to be doing a Volume 2, a Part 2, a sequel, whatever you want to call it, to a video that I released just under 2 months ago called Band and Rare Record Covers and Albums. And the reason I'm doing a Volume 2 this week is because that first video has done exceptionally well here on YouTube. It has had to date over 1,500 views, and I am so thankful to everybody that has watched that video. I don't know what made that video so special in comparison to everything else I've released, but it is going like gangbusters and gets multiple views still every day. So I figured, why not release a part 2, a volume 2, a sequel? Because obviously that was a subject matter that people are curious to learn about or see. So let's continue on with that subject matter. Now, when I made that first video, I'd always intended to make a part 2, even possibly a part 3, because I couldn't show everything I had in that subject matter in one video. So I had always intended a volume 2 at one day, and today's that day. So we're going to be going into more band and rare record covers and albums. And please watch that first video, because I don't want to rehash what I was talking about in that first video, in this video, and waste people's time. So please watch that first video before this one. And we're going to just jump right in and continue on with the same subject matter as that first video. So the first album I have here is... I would classify it as a rare record. Rare because there's only, I believe, 600 copies of this record pressed ever. It was never released on CD, cassette, any other form. It was released in 2018. So who knows in the future if they release more. And it is an unofficial album, as they call them now. Back in the day, I used to call that a bootleg. And I was never a big person to buy bootlegs, because bootlegs were basically meaning that the artist didn't get any of the money. Most bootlegs were live recordings that people took a tape recorder into a concert and recorded it, and then found a vinyl company to press it onto vinyl and sell it illegally. Well, that's what originally bootlegs were. Or they got soundboard recordings, things like that. So I was never one to really support bootlegs. But bootlegs are still around. I don't really buy bootlegs at concerts because most of them, like I said, the sound quality is just horrendous. So I don't go for them. But this particular unofficial release, because now they, instead of calling them bootlegs, they like to call them unofficial releases, was released by some bizarre record company. And this is actually a really good unofficial release, and one that I think everybody should have in their collection if they are an Iron Maiden fan like myself. If you're an Iron Maiden and a metal fan, an Iron Maiden fan, this is a great album to have. I highly recommend it if you can find it. There are only 600 pressings of it in the world. It's never been repressed on CD or vinyl. It originally first came out in 2018. It's never been released in any other format. And it was released on 4 different colors, each at 150 copies of each color. So this one certainly is rare now, and will probably be even more rare 10, 20 years from now, just like rare records from the 70s and 80s are. So this is from, like I said, Iron Maiden, and it follows this album here, which is not a rare record or anything like that. This was their No Prayer for the Dying album from 1990, which was followed up by Fear of the Dark from 1992. And this album follows those 2 albums as far as timeline goes. What was actually, like I said, released in 2018. And this album is called, and it's an unofficial release, is called The Assassin. That's right, The Assassin. And this is a great record, an absolutely great record. unofficial bootleg. And the reason I showed you the Fear of the Dark and the No Prayer for the Dying is because this album is not live bootleg or anything like that. This album is made up of all the singles and EPs, CD singles, vinyl singles, 7-inch singles, 12-inch singles, everything that was released from these two albums on the side. Meaning all the singles, EPs, things that were released from those two albums have been collected up and put together on this one album, and it is great. It is great. You know, like I said, I don't really support unofficial releases too much or bootlegs, but to have this collection of songs all on one place is fabulous. And it's mostly cover songs that were used for, and it even tells you where the things came from. For example, you've got All in Your Mind, which is a Stray cover version taken from the Holy Smoke 12-inch. Then you've got Kill Me Ce Soir, one of my all-time favorite Golden Earring songs, being performed by Iron Maiden, and it's a Golden Earring cover version taken from the Holy Smoke 12-inch. You've also got I'm a Mover, and that's by the group Free. That's a cover version by the group Free, taken from Bring Your Daughter to the Slaughter 12-inch. You've also got Communication Breakdown, Led Zeppelin cover, taken from Bring Your Daughter to the Slaughter 12-inch again. Then we've got Nodding Donkey Blues, taken from the Quicker the Dead 12-inch. Space Station, a Montrose cover, taken from the Be Quick or Be Dead 12-inch. So you see these are all taken from various 12 inches and all packaged nicely together. Great cover songs, absolutely great cover songs. Side B, you've then got From Here to the Eternity, the Triumph mix, also from a 12-inch. You've got Roll Over Vic Vela, which is from Chuck Berry. It was a medley thing done. Music was Chuck Berry and the lyrics were from Steve Harris, taken from a 12-inch. You've got I Can't See My Feeling, which was a Budgie cover. You've also got, and then you've got Public Enema Number 1, which was recorded live. No Prayer for the Dying, recorded live. Tail Gunner, recorded live. And Holy Smoke, recorded live. And they were released on official CD singles. So, and one was a 7-inch. So it's a really nice collection of everything from the Fear of the Dark and the Prayer to the Dying era. All their singles, B-sides, really great collection. Highly recommended if you can find it. Really rare. Iron Maiden, The Assassin. I believe this was a Korean release. I think it was pressed in Korea. Not too much info on this album, but great to have. So that's a rare thing. Next up is an album I showed a couple months ago on my Japanese pressings video, but I'm going to show it again in this video, even though I don't like showing things more than once. I'm going to show it again anyhow, as it definitely is part of this subject. And that is Bon Jovi's Slippery When Wet. And this is the Japanese pressing. And this cover here was the original cover that was then changed for a completely different cover, which I will, in editing, be inserting now into the video so you can see what the cover actually looks like now. But this was the original cover. And it was changed, from what I understand, for the North American market because it over-sexualized women. Because it was basically a zoom in on the women's chest and, you know, the ripped up t-shirt on an ample bosom, on a wet t-shirt that said Slippery When Wet. So they felt that that was just a little bit, you know, too objectifying women, I think was the words for it. Slippery When Wet, Bon Jovi. That's the original press band, and you can still find it. Most of the pressings you still find now are Japanese pressings, but that particular pressing was never released over here in North America for obvious reasons. Next up, another album that was banned. Now, the information on this one is a little bit sketchy. Some resources I've read say it was banned, and other resources I've read say that they just didn't like the cover art. They didn't feel it showed the artist in the right direction they wanted people to see her. I tend to believe you believe what you want, but I tend to believe the first one, because one of the big things in banning record covers, of course, was violence. And this is from Lita Ford, Out for Blood, her debut album after she left the Runaways. This was her first album called Out for Blood. This cover was banned, and I'm inserting the cover that it was replaced by right now. But this cover was banned because if you look closely, she's got her guitar has been ripped into two pieces and is all bloodied and gory. And they just sort of thought it portrayed her in the wrong way. You've got, Out for Blood written in blood here. You've got this guitar ripped in half, blood streaming down and guts streaming out of it. And they just didn't. One report says they didn't feel this was the right image for Lita Ford, and another report says that it was banned because it was too violent. And they wanted people to see her as a metal artist and not as something else. So, yeah, it's the original Out for Blood debut album from Miss Lita Ford from the Runaways. And I believe this is a French pressing. This is a French pressing. Out for Blood, Lita Ford, banned, changed, whatever you want to say. Next up, I've got another rare record. And this one is rare in the fact that there's only 100 pressings of this album out there in the first place. And it's also autographed. And this is from a local Toronto hard rock metal band that from the 2000s now. And this is their most recent album, I believe from 2018. The band is called Diamonds. Absolutely fantastic band, hard rock metal, fronted by a female singer by the name of Miss Priya Panda. And as you can see, she's autographed the cover of this album. And this was only pressed in a grand total of 100 pressings. Canadian album, 100 pressings only on vinyl. And it was on this wonderful clear smoke vinyl. Great album, great album. And that is rare because A, it's autographed, and B, there's only 100 pressings currently in existence of this fantastic album by Diamonds. And yet another rare album from one of my favorite bands that I've talked about many times on this channel, the Pet Shop Boys. And it's their new album, their most recent album, released in January of this year. And I ordered this directly from the Pet Shop Boys website. And I've shown this album, I think the CD of this a few videos ago. This is the vinyl version, and the thing that makes this one so rare is because it included an autographed lithograph autographed by both Mr. Neil Tennant and Chris Lowe of the Pet Shop Boys. So happy to have that. I pre-ordered this album directly from the Pet Shop Boys website, and I believe there were only 500 of these autographed copies released, period. So another great autographed album, and obviously rare, and will be more rare as time goes on. And the next one I'm showing here is from another Canadian artist, independent artist, who I've been following for the last few years. And I've talked about his album. I've talked about one of his albums on another video. And this is his latest album. The name of the artist is Projekt Gemineye. And the album is in the year 3073 Book 1. And this is his latest album released this year. And in fact, the album, actually, I just received my copy, pre-order copy of the official album last Friday, which I'll be showing in a future video. But what makes this one so rare, his pressings, he only releases 100 copies anyhow of his albums. So all his albums are super rare. But this one's even more rare because this version, autographed by Mr. Mark Anthony Kay, the artist, is a test pressing. That's right. It's a test pressing that he gave me, that he sent to me. So it is very generic. A test pressing. Approved on February 19th, 2020. It's pet test pressing number 2. And this, like I said, this album just came out officially on Friday. But certainly this is rare, being a test pressing. And this artist is fantastic. If you like Yes, if you like Rush, you will like Projekt Gemineye. This fellow does all the music himself. He plays all the instruments, keyboards, bass, guitar, puts the drums in, everything, does vocals. He produces it, records it, engineers it, does everything himself. Fantastic artist. Check him out. I've recommended him before. His latest release, Projekt Gemineye, 3073. You can buy this album. I think, look him up on Bandcamp. It's the easiest way to buy the album. Look him up on Bandcamp or on Facebook. Great album, but certainly rare, as this is a test pressing. Next up, I just briefly showed this album in my last video last week, so I'm just going to show it really brief again. And this one is another rare album in that there's only 500 pressings of this album out there. This is Drake's Scorpion. And this is a DJ exclusive promotional pressing. Before the album was actually pressed and released on vinyl for retail, it was released like this as a promotional copy with just this little sticker on here. And it was on 2 different colors of vinyl, a purple and a gray. Purple and a gray vinyl. 500 copies. I would say that's pretty rare. Next up, we're going to go to another band album now. And this band album, this is a Japanese pressing of this album. And this is an album by a group called Sniff N The Tears, who only released a few albums, late 70s, early 80s. Their big hit was Driver's Seat on the previous album, Fickle Heart. But this was the follow-up to Fickle Heart, and it was called The Game's Up. And this is a Japanese pressing of the original cover. And this one was banned because we had, under my finger, there's a boob. That's right, there's a boob under my finger. So this album was banned because of the cover art. It's silly. You know, it's not even, you know, can you really see anything? Come on. But yeah, it was banned because of this picture. And I have inserted the picture of what it looks like now. Completely different cover. Completely different cover. It was completely changed because they can release that cover over here in the United States and Canada. So they changed the cover, but that's the original. Censored for one tiny little thing like that. The next one was hugely censored. I'm not quite sure how I'm going to show this, but this one was censored. This is by a disco band called Silver Convention. Silver Convention. And it was their Save Me album, though this one was just called Silver Convention. When it was originally, when their first album was released, it was called Silver Convention. It was then retitled to Save Me. But the album cover was pretty explicit, and I'm going to try to show this here carefully, covering the naughty bits. But yeah, you can see why the cover was changed. That was the front cover. And on the back cover was the rest of the picture, which there's nothing wrong here, but back cover was the rest of the picture. So you could like flip it over and you can sort of imagine what the whole picture was. But that was the original album cover. And even inside there's a poster, a big giant poster of that picture, big, huge, giant poster of that picture. But that was the original album cover. And it was obviously censored because it was just a big naked bust on the front cover and girl in handcuffs on the back cover, as you can see. And it was changed to the cover. I'll insert the. It was changed to a black cover with a pair of handcuffs on it, and I'll insert that right now into the video so you can see what the cover was changed to. But obvious reasons why that cover was banned and changed. Next up is a rare album. It's not a banned album, but it's rare. It's unusual. I don't even know what to make of this album. I never could figure out quite what they were trying to do with this album. But back in the 70s and 80s, the men's magazines wanted to get in on music too. Playboy. The two biggest men's magazines here in North America were Playboy and Penthouse. And Penthouse, in their infinite wisdom, thought that they could get into the music genre, and they released a record album. Penthouse presents the pulsating disco and romantic moods for loving and dancing. And the band was called the Love Symphony Orchestra. And I don't know what they were thinking when they released this. It's basically, although it's a record album, it's more a 12-inch single than anything. It basically had two songs on it. Side one, which ran almost 20 minutes long, was called Let's Make Love in Public Places. And side two, also running about 15, 16 minutes long or something, was Let Me Be Your Fantasy. Penthouse magazine, the Love Symphony Orchestra. Yeah, definitely rare, unusual. I can't really show you inside because it's full of naked women. Yeah, they basically, I'll just cover this as best I can. But it was a triple gatefold, and of course this opens up to be, how can I do this? This opens up to be an obvious centerfold, with this gatefold thing having a whole bunch more naked women on it. So yeah, everybody was getting in. This was classified as a disco album. They tried to capitalize on the disco market with this album. Bizarre release. The music is, it's all right. I guess it's disco. It's weird. I don't know what to make of it, but certainly a collector's item. Certainly rare. Certainly unusual. Penthouse presents the Love Symphony Orchestra. Crazy stuff. Crazy stuff. Next up, I showed her latest album in my Desert Island videos. You all know I've talked about this artist before, Miss Wendy James from Transvision Vamp. I've talked about Transvision Vamp before. I've talked about Wendy James' new album in my last week's video. But this is another really rare album. And this came from Miss Wendy James herself to me. Released in only 250 copies of this on picture disc was her previous album, The Price of the Ticket, with musicians Lenny Kaye, Glenn Matlock, and James Scavellanos. And this was her Price of the Ticket album, and this is a fantastic album. This is a really great spin, but this came from Miss Wendy James herself, and I've censored the cover. And this was a picture disc version of The Price of the Ticket by Wendy James, autographed by Miss Wendy James herself. And you know, hats off to a woman who's, I mean, Wendy James is, you know, close to 50. Hats off to her for posing nude for the cover of her own album. Hats off to her. But Wendy James, price of the ticket, picture disc version, very rare, only 250 copies in the world of this, and they're all signed. Really great rare album. And last but not least on today's video is some colored vinyl. And though not uber rare, as far as rare goes, pretty rare. Because back in the day, in the 70s and 80s, colored vinyl was not big. It was a fad. It came in briefly in the 70s and left again. I don't think there was really much, very little in the 80s. But colored vinyl, I mean, nowadays, every other pressing you get is some sort of color. Colored vinyl has blown up here in the 2010s with all these splatter vinyls and half and half vinyls and swirls and all these different type of vinyls. 6 million colors under the sun now. But back in the day, way back in the day, there was only a few colors of vinyl. There was like gold, yellow gold, you know, green, red, blue, white, the basic covers of albums, basic colors. But nowadays, there's every color under the sun. So colored vinyl back then in the 70s and 80s was fairly rare. And there's some still floating around here in Canada. I'm going to show you 5 albums here. Not uber rare, but they're rare in the fact that they are on colored vinyl. They're all first Canadian pressings. They were on colored vinyl. And so it's really nice to have. First up, Bebop Deluxe, Drastic Plastic, released on white vinyl. Drastic Plastic, the final Bebop Deluxe album before they broke up, on white vinyl. I think the fact that they released it on white vinyl certainly made the album name, it was a really good play on the album name, Drastic Plastic. And there you have your plastic, white vinyl. In the days when colored vinyl was few and far between, there's our first Canadian pressing, Bebop Deluxe, Drastic Plastic. Another one, Grand Funk, We're an American Band, very common album, but this is the first Canadian pressing. It has the stickers are in here, inside the album, and this was on, originally when it came out, was on a gold vinyl, yellow vinyl, whatever you want to call it. We're an American Band, Grand Funk Railroad, original first Canadian pressing on yellow vinyl. Pretty rare. Midnight Oil, Blue Sky Mines from the mid-80s. Midnight Oil, Blue Sky Mine, mid-80s, on blue vinyl. First Canadian pressing on blue vinyl. Styx, Pieces of 8, first Canadian pressing on gold vinyl. Styx, Pieces of 8, first Canadian pressing on gold vinyl. And last but not least, The Who, Who Are You, first Canadian pressing on red vinyl. First Canadian pressing on red vinyl. The Who, Who Are You. Some rare 70s vinyl pressings and 180s one there for you. And that's it. That's all. That's this week's video. A few more rare albums, a few more band albums. There'll probably be a volume 3 down the line. I don't know when, but I will do probably a volume 3 down the line. Hope you enjoyed it. Hope you enjoyed this one as much as you enjoyed the first band and rare record albums video. Please don't forget to like and subscribe to my channel. Comments are always welcome below. Don't forget to turn on the notifications, that little bell thing, to let you know when I release my videos. I try to release a video like this every Monday or Tuesday. And don't forget to follow me on Instagram, AGK, @AGK_lifetime of vinyl, where I try to post a spin of the day every day. That's it. That's all. Hope you enjoyed the video. See you all in a week's time. Have a good week.